Hello students, today we are going to study third chapter, that is force. So first let me tell you what is force. A force is a push or a pull acting on an object in a particular direction. Force is measured in terms of Newton and it is represented by F, that is capital F. For example, in order to open a door, either you push it or you pull it. To lift a box, you apply force on it. To write, you hold a pen and you apply force on that pen. So these are the examples wherein you can see force has been applied on some objects. Now we discuss about the effects of force. One thing, force cannot be seen. However, its effects can be seen or can be felt. We will discuss 5 effects of force. First, a force can bring object into motion. For example, there was a football lying on the playground. You kick it and it starts rolling. It means on the application of force, objects can move. Second effect is, if force is applied on a moving object, it can be brought into rest. However, here force has to be applied in the opposite direction of the motion. For example, a goalkeeper stops football and football stops. Third effect is, force can change the direction of a moving object. For example, a batsman hits a ball with his bat and direction of the ball has changed. Force can change speed of a moving object. If force is applied in the same direction of motion, speed increases, and if force has been applied in the opposite direction of the motion, speed decreases. Now the last effect is, force can change shape of an object. Here one thing you must remember is, force cannot change the mass of the object. However, shape can be changed. For example, clay. You apply force on it and different shapes can be given to that clay. Now we'll discuss friction. Friction is a kind of force. However, it always acts in the opposite direction of motion. Whenever two surfaces are in contact, there is friction between them. Now we discuss characteristics of frictional force. First, frictional force always acts in the opposite direction of motion. It means it always opposes the motion. When you kick a football, it keeps rolling. After some time, it stops. It comes to rest. It means there was a frictional force which was applied by the ground onto that football, which brought it to rest. Second characteristic of frictional force is, it depends upon the type of surfaces which are in contact. If surfaces are rough, there would be more friction, and if surface is smooth, there would be very less friction. Now the last point is, friction always produces heat. When you rub your palm against each other, you feel little warm. Why? Because there was frictional force acting between your palms. So friction always produces heat. Now we discuss types of friction. There are 3 types of friction. First, static friction. Second, sliding friction. And third is rolling friction. Static friction is the maximum value of frictional force, and rolling friction is the least value of frictional force. Let us discuss static friction. Static means stationary, when object is not moving. So when some object is kept on a surface, it is not moving, it is not rolling, we can say that object is at rest and there is a friction between the object and the surface. Here, static friction is acting between these two surfaces. When a book is kept on a table, we can say there is static friction between book and the table. Now we discuss sliding friction. Sliding friction happens when one object slides over a surface. For example, a boy is sliding. Here, boy is not static. He is sliding. Here we can say there is sliding friction between two surfaces, the boy and the slide. Sliding friction is also known as kinetic friction. Now the third friction is rolling friction. When an object rolls over a surface, we say there is rolling friction between the object and the surface. For example, a ball rolls on a playground or tire rolling. So these are the examples of rolling friction. If you compare sliding friction and rolling friction, sliding friction will always be more. For example, it is difficult to drag a suitcase on a floor. However, when the suitcase is fitted with some wheels, it becomes easy. Why? Because wheels provide rolling friction, and we know that rolling friction is the least value of frictional force. Now, let me tell you one thing. Friction is a necessary evil. There are some advantages as well as some disadvantages of friction. First, we'll talk about disadvantages of friction. First, it always produces heat. Whenever there is friction between two surfaces, some heat will be produced, and this heat may be dangerous if it is not controlled, especially in machines. Second disadvantage of friction is it reduces the speed of the moving object, as it always acts in the opposite direction of motion, so speed is reduced. When you want an object to move at a faster speed, because of friction, it won't be able to do so because friction reduces motion. And now third disadvantage is it causes wear and tear loss. For example, sole of your shoe wears out after repeated uses. Similarly, treads of tire wears out after repeated use and tire becomes useless. These were the disadvantages of friction. Now we'll discuss advantages of friction. We are able to stand or walk on ground because of friction between our feet and ground. Teachers are able to write on board, or you are able to write in your notebooks because of friction between paper and pen. We are able to light a matchstick because there is friction between the matchbox and that stick. We are able to speak because of friction. These were the advantages of friction. Now always remember, if floor is smooth or slippery, there are chances that we may slip. So we should be extra careful, especially in washroom, that there should be no water lying on the floor or no soap water. We may slip and there may be some injuries because of less friction. Thus, we come to the end of the chapter. I hope you understood everything. Bye.